I've been thinking a lot about like myself as a child and how I loved fantasy and I loved like I very much wanted to believe in like fairies and unicorns. And you're always like trying very hard to as you get older, you more and more become aware of the world around you as like its realness, and sort of the enchantment of your childhood imagination gets lost and it feels like a sad loss. And I think now as an older person, but also then as an artist, as a creative person, I'm like, I think actually it's just as important as ever for us to have these kind of fantastical flights of fancy in our imagination. And I think that's one of the primary themes of Midsummer is the importance of the imagination and the importance of being able to untether yourself from kind of the idea, the expectations of the world as you know it, the inevitability of business as usual, but that through like imagination, um, that actually is the path towards like transforming either one's own world or your community or the world around you into something new, that it only happens through these acts of imagination.
Yeah, well, certainly I found that the things that were told as children, like particularly about fairy tales, not the scary fairy tales, but the things, the fairy tales to do with magic and the fairy world, that they're kind of gross um, characterizations of something. So you get the idea of it. And then as you get older, you can start to look for the reality of it, which doesn't, in my experience anyway, it doesn't look like what we were told it looks like, but it's just as real and just as tangible if you are looking for it. So, what would be called, what did Carl Jung call it? Synchronicity. He was big on synchronicity. I was just thinking about that person and then they called me, So you can go, well, that's just coincidence. Or you could go, well, that's real magic. That's how it really happens.
Yeah.
Of all the places I could have been standing and I bumped into that person, what are the chances of that? Very unlikely. And as you walk around in nature, and you probably see this yourself, you could see, I find it much easier to see that kind of magic in nature. You can you sort of walk into something and you're like, I felt this way 10 paces back and now I feel different. I just walked into something there. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something. So rather than, oh, I'm looking to see a fairy or see a thing, different people receive things in different ways, but you can register magic if you are looking for it. But I think without the fairy tales, you wouldn't even know where to start. So you kind of have the principles, and this sort of, as I say, these kind of more graphic representations, and that sort of gets you started. But
Yeah.
then, as you say, the world comes in and kind of goes, those are the things of childhood. Whereas if you kind of bypass that and go, well, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe let me keep looking and let me see what it's actually like. Then the world can be full of magic, or so that's my experience anyway.